on the mat. And I'm going to cue poses, and I'm also going to watch just to make sure we're all comfortable and finding the poses and the postures okay. So I'll go back and forth. But while you're here on your mat, you can have one hand to the belly and one hand to the chest, and just comfortable. Get comfortable here, lying on the earth. Get heavy in the earth. Make sure your shoulder blades are touching down. And you want to do deep breaths. And if you have the hand on the belly, then you want to feel the belly rising and falling with your breath. Untighten the jaw. A lot of times we have the jaw clenched without knowing it. Sometimes we have the brow furrowed. So just try to rest. You can also bring hands to side with palms up. Feet can just splay off to the side. You don't want to hold any tension in them. Just let them rest. And on our next inhale, we're going to pull right knee into chest. And you can have your hands hold that right knee and give it a little tug into your chest. Maybe flex right foot. Can move right foot around, move the ankle around to the left, maybe to the right. Flex it, then point it, and maybe pull it in a little tighter. And then let the right leg come back down to the earth. On your next inhale, let's pull in the left leg. You can wrap the hands around the knee or the shin. You can circle the knee, or maybe if it feels good, you can even circle the hip gently. Flex the foot, point the toe, maybe pull in the knee a little bit to feel a stretch in the hip. And then you can let the leg fall back down to the earth. Arms are by your side. So just a little warm up. Maybe you pull both knees into the chest and just rock side to side, giving your spine a little massage. Rock side to side. Maybe rock in a circle. Taking both directions. And when you're ready, let the knees fall to your favorite side and use a hand to bring you up to seated at the front of your mat. Seated cross-legged. If lotus pose is accessible, you can go ahead and move into lotus pose, or the ankle actually comes up on the calf, half lotus, and maybe the other one. I'll stay in cross-legged pose.
Hey, Chrissy, you might want to turn your laptop so we can see you.
Thank you. And you can let your hands just rest on your knees here. And let's take some deep breaths. So those of you know that I am in teacher training, and part of the training is to do 15 16 hours of class, giving instruction, sending it to our teacher so she can evaluate the way we cue poses and the flow, building up to a crescendo and then bringing everyone back down, sort of warm up, warm down, Savasana. So after we're finished, I will ask you for your feedback on what we've done here today. Continue to take deep breaths at the front of the mat. And let's go ahead and switch the cross leg. A lot of times we start with the same leg, bringing it in first. I always bring my right, so this time I'm going to switch it, bringing in the left leg, and let's get comfortable here in this seated pose. While you're here, just give yourself some gratitude for coming to the mat today. I know some of you have had an awful long day, running around. It's the weekend. It's really time to cool down at 6 o'clock, so I appreciate you being here, but give yourself some appreciation for coming to your mat. A couple more breaths. And on an inhale, we'll sweep arms overhead, still seated, but getting long in the torso. Arms are up overhead. And then on an exhale, float the arms back down to the earth.
I'm sorry.
And let's do that one more time. On an inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, reaching up to the sky. And on an exhale, arms fall back down to the earth. We'll do that one more time. On an inhale, let's sweep the arms up overhead. And this time, let's do a twist to the right. Left hand can hold on to right knee, and right hand can reach behind you. And we'll just do a little twist. Gaze is looking back behind you on the right hand side. We'll stay in this pose for a couple more breaths. Let your inhale bring you back to front. Arms are high overhead once again. Exhale. Inhale. And the exhale takes you, twist to the left side. Right hand meets left knee. Left hand behind left hip, and a gentle twist to the left side. Eyes can look to the side, or you can twist the neck, the side, the spine, the shoulders, and have a gentle gaze over left shoulder. On an inhale, arms go back up, back to center, and you can let the arms rest in the lap. Let's do a few seated cat-cows before we move to hands and knees. You can have your hands still in that cross-legged pose. You can have your hands on your knees, if that's comfortable for you, or you can have them in your lap, holding on to the shins. But with an exhale, looking up, arch the back, look up. This is our cow pose. And on an exhale, look down, arch the back for cat. Round the back for cat. Look up, inhale for cow. Arching, exhale, look down and round the back for cat. And let's do a couple more of those. Your own breath, own time. Look up, inhale, look down, round the back for cat. Hi, Tyson. And you can come to a neutral seat, and we'll meet in a tabletop pose, hands and knees. Here in tabletop, you want your hands sort of lightly gripping the mat. Wrists, elbows, and shoulders are in line. And in your tabletop, the top of your foot is flat on the floor, so you don't want toes tucked. You have feet or tops of feet flat on the floor. And once in this pose, do any movement that's comfortable for you. You can sway the body side to side. You can take the hips back to the heels. If it's comfortable for you, you can move in a circular motion, coming back forward with the torso and the chest, and then taking the hips back to the heels. If you're doing circles, you want to make sure you move in the other direction, side to side. Here in tabletop, you can also move the head, sort of yes, no, back and forth, sort of working out all those little kinks. You can also take some more cat-cow. We inhale and look up, arching the back for cow, and exhaling, rounding the back for cat. And a couple more breaths, and we'll come back to a neutral tabletop pose. We'll do a spinal balance. So here, inhale, you want your left leg to reach out back. Left leg is reaching out behind you. I'll turn to the side. You can flex the foot. And when you're ready, you can have right arm. So we're on opposite arm. Left leg is back. Right arm is forward. Try to have the body parallel to the earth. When you're ready, maybe you take a crunch and bring knee to meet elbow. Hold for one breath and exhale, take it back out, and you can let knee and hand rest on the earth. Back in neutral tabletop. Maybe you sway a little bit from side to side. And we'll do opposite sides. On an inhale, right leg goes back, parallel to the earth. You can flex the foot here. The weight is in the hands and the left knee. If this is uncomfortable for you for the knee, you can take a child's pose here and stretch the arms out. With right leg back, you can lift opposite arm. That would be the left arm if you have right arm back, right leg back. You can stretch the hands out. Fingers are wide. And maybe you take a crunch here on an inhale. Hold for one breath. Exhale, back out. And hand and knee meet the earth. We can sway side to side while we're still here in this neutral table. And then let's take hips back to our first child's pose, remembering that you can always come back to this pose, this posture. In child's pose, the hips are going back to meet the heels. You can have the legs or the knees open in a V shape, or you can bring them side to side. Arms are outstretched in front of you, or they can be by your side. And this is our resting pose. You can come back to it anytime during your practice today. From child's pose, let's rise back up to our neutral table. And from here, we'll come to our first, maybe it's your second or third downward dog of the day. But in downward dog, you're coming into this upside down V shape where the feet are pushing back against the earth. Heels do not need to touch. In this position here, we like to walk it out, or we might call it walk the dog. And that's just bending, maybe right knee, stretching out the left calf, and then switching. Bend left knee, press right foot to the earth, stretching out the right calf. Here, you can also sway side to side. Keep pedaling. Let the head hang, let the neck hang. You don't want to hold any tension there. Again, downward dog. If you find this comfortable, you can always come back here for a resting or restorative pose. On the inhale, let's walk the feet to the front of the mat. And here, let's just hang. This is our ragdoll pose. You don't want to hold any tension again in the neck. Toes firmly on the earth. Maybe your fingertips are touching the mat. Maybe fingertips are reaching the calves. You can grab opposite elbows here and just sway side to side. Sway side to side. Let the arms fall forward. And on an inhale, we'll come to a halfway lift. Here, fingertips can meet the shins. On an exhale, fall back forward again. On an inhale, halfway lift. And the exhale brings you all the way back down. This time on your lift, inhale, let's sweep arms all the way overhead. Arms are reaching up. And here we can get long in the body. Feet are planted on the earth. Arms are reaching up tall. In this position, we can do maybe a baby back bend, floating our gaze up a little bit. Take a deep breath. And on an exhale, fall forward. Very nice. We're all falling forward. On an inhale, take another halfway lift. Again, on your halfway lift, fingertips are just meeting the shins or the knees. On your halfway lift, you want to try to have a flat back. Neck and head, they're neutral, so you don't want to arch up or bend too far forward. You want to have head and neck in line with the spine. And on an exhale, fall back forward. On your next inhale, we'll sweep arms all the way up, getting long in the body. On your next breath, exhale, hands to prayer. Inhale, arms are back up. And then swan dive, arms all the way down, hinging front, fall forward. Inhale for halfway lift. Exhale, fall forward. And let's all find ourselves on the belly, on our mat. Let's take a few breaths. And really, it's the breath that's the most important part of yoga. Sort of synchronizing our breath and our movement. And I'll try and cue where we are on the breath as we go along, either inhaling or exhaling. So while we're on the belly, we'll do a few cobra poses, and I will show them. While you're on the belly, the tops of the feet are pressing against the mat. Hands are by the chest. Elbows are bent. You don't want elbows to flare out. You want elbows in close to the body. And here we have three choices when I cue cobra. We can do a baby cobra, and in baby cobra, everything is down, belly, pelvis, legs down. We just do a slight lift of the chest. We call it baby cobra. It's like a baby back bend. We can do a baby cobra. You can lift a little higher where the stomach is coming off the mat, but the arms are still bent for cobra. Or you can do an upward dog and your arms are straight. Okay, so I will cue baby cobra. Feel free to take any one of those as we go through our vinyasas or to a chaturanga. Okay, so we can all meet back down, belly on the mat. On an inhale, baby cobra. Couple breaths here, and exhale back to the mat. Inhale once more to baby cobra. Exhale brings you back to the mat. Last one, inhale to baby cobra, and let your exhale take you back to the mat. Okay, I saw someone was ready to go into chaturanga. So these baby cobras, cobra or upward dog, this is going to be a part of our vinyasa, and that's how we will link some of the flows from right to left. From the belly, let's all move to a plank pose. So with the hands gripping the mat, you want to take the body all the way up, toes are bent. If you can, if not, you can come up into your cobra. This is high plank. You can also bend the elbows to do a lower plank or a chaturanga, or you can come all the way down to the belly. Cobra or upward dog. In this pose, you can curl the toes and take it all the way back to downward dog. And we'll try that again. So in your downward dog pose, in that upside down V shape, go ahead and walk the hands or float, hop to the front of your mat. On an inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. On an inhale, arms sweep up. Tall and mountain pose. And fold back down on the exhale. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. And then back to the belly. You can lift here for baby cobra, and we'll do just one. And then exhale back to the mat. Curl the toes can move to plank, or you can go all the way back to downward dog, and we'll meet in that upside down deep pose. From downward dog, right leg floats up and back behind you. Here you can bend the right leg and circle the hip just to loosen it up a little bit. So you're in downward dog. Maybe you circle right ankle. If you're going in one direction, going in the other direction. And then put the right leg back on straight. And from here, right knee comes through as if in a lunge position, and right foot meets the earth. And you're in a low lunge position. Left leg is reaching back. You're on the toes or on the ball of the left foot. Lunge position, right foot is stable in front, and let's do a twisted low lunge. So on an inhale, right arm goes up. Exhale, right hand back down. Come back to plank pose. And here's where you can chaturanga, lower back down to low plank or to the belly. Do halfway lift, or cobra, upward dog. We'll meet back in downward dog. Once in downward dog, go ahead, pedal out the feet. Take a moment here in downward dog to come back to the breath. And on an inhale, left leg goes up behind you. You can bend in the knee, circle left leg, circle the hip in one direction. You can move it to the other direction, maybe circle the ankle. You can put the leg on, back straight, and you're still in that downward dog position. Left leg is up. Take another breath here. And on an inhale, left knee comes through the arms and left foot meets the earth for a low lunge position. Inhale, left arm goes up to the sky, gaze follows. You can take a breath here. And then left hand meets the earth. Move back to your plank pose or chaturanga. You can take a vinyasa, which is that cobra pose, and then moving back to downward dog. From downward dog, let's go ahead and move into our child's pose. So we can sort of reset ourselves before we move on to our next flow. Maybe take a drink of water. You guys look great. Tyson looks like a nice drink. Couple more breaths here in child's pose. And when you're ready, a couple more breaths will bring you back to a downward dog, and we'll meet there in downward dog. From downward dog, you can walk float or hop your feet to the front of the mat. We're meeting in a forward fold. An inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms float up, and we're back to the standing position. Here, we're going to take a chair pose, or Utkatasana. With our chair pose, arms up, we're going to bend down as if we're seated in a chair behind us. And in this pose, your feet can either be hips distance apart, or you can have big toes together and have some space between the heels. Arms are still up, or you can have hands at prayer, whatever is comfortable in your chair pose. And that's great. In chair pose, we're going to do a little twist to the right. So in your chair, hands are pressing together. Start to twist to the right, and maybe left elbow hooks onto right thigh. In this pose, you want to make sure to twist from the waist. Okay, so we're giving the waist some of those organs of twist that they don't normally get. Your gaze can be over the right elbow. Another breath here. And an inhale brings you back to neutral chair, either arms up or at prayer. Still in that chair pose. Here we can bring hands back to prayer. Take a breath, and on an exhale, we're twisting to the left, and right elbow hooks on to left thigh. As our twisted chair pose. And an inhale brings you back to center. Exhale, fall forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Flat back, toes touching the ground, fingers on shins. Exhale, all the way down. An inhale brings us back up to standing. Arms sweep up overhead. And once again, we exhale to our chair position. Sitting the glutes back in our chair position. Look down. You want to be able to see your feet. So we don't want knees going too far over our feet. Arms are either up or at heart center and prayer. And once again, we'll take a twist to the right and let your left elbow hook on to right thigh. While you're here in this position, and when you feel steady, put some weight in the right foot and start to get light on the left. So start to get light on the left foot. So you're in prayer, left elbow is hooking right thigh. We start to get light in the left foot. Weight is in the right, and take left foot to either back of your mat, halfway to your mat. And so now we're in our twisted crescent lunge. Again, if it is accessible to you. If not, you can stay in chair. If you are in twisted crescent, left leg is back. Come out of it. Arms are up overhead for a neutral crescent lunge. Here in crescent. Oh, good. That looks good. Yeah. Right leg is bending forward, not more than a 90-degree angle. That left leg behind you, you're on the ball of the foot, is providing you some stability. Arms are overhead. Hold for another Couple breaths here, and then let hands meet the earth. Right leg joins the left leg here in plank. You can take it to a low plank, chaturanga, cobra or upward dog, and back to downward dog. And breathe. On an inhale, you can come to the toes, walk, float, or hop, feet to meet the hands. We'll meet at the front of the mat in a forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. And on an inhale, we swoop arms back up overhead. Now we're going to do the left side. Couple breaths here in the standing mountain position or pose, and then we take it back to our chair pose. Again, we can have feet hips distance apart, or big toes can be touching, but this is what your chair pose will look like. Either arms up, or you can have hands to prayer, whatever's comfortable. And we'll do our twist, hooking right elbow to left thigh, getting a nice twist in the waist. You can look down at the feet. You can look to the side in this twisted chair pose, or your gaze can look up past the shoulder. Couple more breaths here. And we'll let the inhale take us back to neutral chair. And all this neutral chair. And on an exhale, fall forward. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, fall forward. And let's all meet in a child's pose on the mat. Take a couple moments here to come back to the breath. We're going to add on to that last pose with the twist and the crescent. Maybe we'll do that one more time, both sides. Either take a drink of water here, whatever's comfortable. If table's comfortable, child's pose, resting forehead on the mat. And in about 4 breaths, we will meet back in downward dog. So take your time getting there. Once in downward dog, you can again pedal out the feet. Let the head hang. Release any tension you might have in the jaw, in the forehead. And when you're ready, you can walk, hop, or float the feet to the front of the mat and meet the hands. On an inhale, we'll do a halfway lift, back is flat. On an exhale, fall forward. On an inhale, we sweep the arms overhead. Once again, we come into that tall mountain pose. Hands are reaching toward the sky. And on an exhale, let's fall forward once again. inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fall forward. And we'll come into seated from falling forward. So you can put the big toes together, or you can have the feet hip widths apart. Sometimes it may help to get into seated by having the fingers graze the mat and then come into your seated pose. Couple breaths here. We can take hands to prayer. Hi, Ryder. And then on an exhale, can twist to the right, left elbow, meeting the right thigh. Again, get light in the left foot, put weight in the right foot. Maybe hover the left foot off the ground a little bit and step back on the ball of that left foot. Still in a twisted position. Inhale up to crescent. And this is when we're going to add on, again, just suggestions here from crescent pose. We'll go to warrior two. Left foot goes parallel to the short end of your mat. Right knee starts to bend and arms are to a T. And this is our warrior two position. Take a breath here in warrior two. Arms are out like a T. On an inhale, come to side angle. So we're stretching out the left leg. Right knee is still bent. Elbow rest on thigh. And left hand can reach up. And let's take a breath, a few breaths here in our side angle. Looks good, you got it, you got it. From side angle, we'll rise back up to warrior two, hands to a T position. Knee is bending forward. And we're going to do one more pose here and we'll close it out. While you're in your warrior two, start to straighten your right leg or your front leg, whichever one you started on. Start to straighten that front leg. Hinge forward and let the right arm drop by right leg. Coming in line with right leg, left arm reaches high up. And so maybe you're in sort of a straight line with your right arm reaching down, left arm up. Looking good, Ryder, I see you. From here, inhale, back to warrior two. Stretch, our arms are active in this pose. You're pulling in both directions. Right arm is reaching ahead, left arm reaching back. Fingers are strong and activated. Take a deep breath in, breath out. Another deep breath in, breath out. Cartwheel the arms back to the floor. Right leg goes to the back of the mat. You're in plank, chaturanga, or belly to the earth. Downward dog, and we're going to do the left side. So when you're ready, we'll meet back in our downward dog. Take a few breaths here in downward dog as we prepare to do the left side. From downward dog, you can rise to the toes and walk, hop, float to the front of your mat. Inhale brings you to halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. On the next inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead, getting long in the body. And then on an exhale, fall forward. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, fall forward. And on an inhale, you can find the chair pose that is comfortable for you. Couple breaths here in chair. Hands come to prayer. And we'll take the same pose. We'll start to twist to the left, hooking right elbow outside of left thigh. Looking good. Feel free to stay in chair pose without the twist. If you do have the twist or you want to join us, start to get heavy, putting the weight in the in the left foot, and reach right foot behind you. Come to the ball of the right foot. I have to practice. When I'm watching everyone, the left looks like the right looks like the left. Good, good, good. And you're in your twisted crescent. Another breath here will bring you back to neutral crescent. Arms are straight up to the sky. Now the left knee is bent. You're on the ball of the right foot in your crescent. On an exhale, back foot goes parallel to the short end of the mat. It's comfortable for you, and arms are out at a T. So again, that left knee is bent, tracking over left toes. The right foot can be parallel or a 45-degree angle to the back of your mat. Arms are out, strong and activated, reaching in both directions. Take a breath here. And an exhale brings you to side angle. Let the arm, the elbow, meet the thigh. And here in side angle, we're twisting a bit. So we're peeling the body open to the right. So you're going to feel a twist in the right waist. Let your right arm reach the sky. Let's hold this pose. Gaze can be down at the feet, or gaze can be up to the hand that's reaching up to the sky. Another breath here. Inhale, exhale brings us back to warrior two. Sorry, and this one. Okay, we can't get out of here without doing triangle. So, front leg, start to straighten that front leg. Back leg is still with foot parallel to the short end of the mat. Arms are at a T. Start to hinge forward. We can't hinge forward anymore. Fall and let left arm meet left foot. And that's why the legs sort of look like a triangle, what we call it triangle pose. Right arm is up. And in triangle pose, you want to feel like your back is against a board or against a wall. And so while you're in triangle, that left leg is straight. Right leg behind you with foot parallel. You've hinged forward. Left arm is tracking with left foot. Right arm is up. And you want to make sure you're not falling forward. So try and peel the chest open a little bit more as we look up. Another breath here. And exhale back to warrior two. From warrior two, this cartwheel, hands back down to the earth. Allow left leg to meet the right leg. You're in plank. Take your chaturanga. And if comfortable, this will be our last vinyasa. Upward dog to downward dog, and then find a child's pose. And we'll stay in child's pose for about 4 breaths. When you're ready, we'll meet back on the mat in a seated position. We're going to get ready, get settled, situated for boat poses. So bend the knees, and the feet should be flat on the floor in front of you. That's it. Feet are flat on the floor. And in our boat pose, put arms straight ahead. Hands can be facing one another. You can stay here in boat. So we're going to do some high boat, low boat. You can also take the legs off the floor. And if you want, you can have a supported boat. Sarita is showing a supported boat. You can wrap hands around thigh to support the legs. Okay, so either one. You can have the boat, I like to say docked. You can have heels on the ground, or you can come to a supported boat. And we'll do a couple high boat, low boat. I'll show them, and then we'll do a little bit of rowing, and then we'll go back to the earth. So, come to your boat pose. Arms are in front, hands facing one another. You can have heels on the ground, or raise the legs where you have the shins and calves parallel to the floor. This is our high boat. Inhale, exhale to low boat. And this is what's going to lower everything down. Legs are a little bit lower. If your heels are on the ground, you can keep them on the ground. Inhale to high boat. Exhale, low boat. Inhale, high boat. Exhale, low boat. One more. Inhale, high boat. And then come to the ground. Lay back down. Everything rest. Legs rest. Arms rest. Come back to the breath. You might have lost the breath. We'll do one more of the high boat, low boat before we come to rest. On an inhale, you are back up to your boat pose. Either full boat, supported boat, dock boat. In your boat pose, take a deep breath. On an exhale, low boat. Inhale, back to high boat. Exhale, low boat. Inhale, back to high boat. Hold it, hold it, hold it there in high boat if you need to support the legs in your high boat. Belly, activating the core, but keeping the breath. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back to the earth. Come back to the breath. Put one hand on the belly, one on the chest, as we did when we started. Making sure you're taking those deep breaths coming from the diaphragm. No shallow breaths here. And in a couple more breaths, we'll meet back in our high boat. When you're ready, and this time, in your boat pose, and I will show it with heels on the ground, which is perfectly fine. You're still getting that work in the core. In your boat pose, put the hands in front of you, arms in front of you, but now sort of cup the hands together. And we're going to do another boat or core working pose, but this is going to be to the side, rowing the boat. So we'll move from one side, you can do this with heels on the ground, to the other side. Inhale, exhale to the other side. Inhale back to center and exhale. And do that on your own breath, to the rhythm of your own breath. I will cue it if you want to do this. Again, just a suggestion. Come back into your high boat pose. Arms are in front of you. Good, good, good. Clasp the hands. And then move to the left side. Back and forth to the right side. Inhale, exhale to the left. Inhale to the other side. And let's do this for 3 more breaths. And when you're ready, let's take it back down to the earth. Resting legs, shoulders, arms. Unclench the jaw. That was a lot of work. Unfurl the brow. And let's take a few breaths here. As we did when we started, why don't we bring knees into the chest, wrap arms around the knees or the shins, and just rock from side to side, massaging the spine. We did a lot of work in our boat poses. Great. Now you can bring the knees, keep the knees in, let the knees drop to the right side. If you can see me, the knees are still bent, they're just moving to the right side. The arms, if you have space, you can have them out to a T, or you can have them out to like a U or a goal post, cactus pose. And with knees to the right, maybe you turn your gaze to the left, getting a twist in the left side body. If you want a deeper stretch or deeper twist, you can move left ankle up a little bit to meet right knee. And that should give you a deeper stretch. If not, leave the knees where they are. And again, gaze is off to the opposite side. Couple more breaths here. On an inhale, knees are back into the chest. And drop them off to the other side. Arms are still out as a T or cactus arms. And your gaze is off to the opposite side. Good. I can't see you, Kimberly, but I see those knees off to the side. Good. Gaze is in the opposite direction. Nice choices there. Sarita, I see your arms at a T. Oh, good job, Tyson. Are you working out with mom? Are you practicing with mom today? On an inhale, let's bring the knees back into the chest. And once again, arms around the knees, calves. Let's just give our spine a little massage. And bring the knees to a neutral pose with feet on the mat. So knees are bent, feet find the earth. And we'll take a bridge pose here. And in bridge pose, while you have your, I'm going to cue it, but you want your feet on the mat, knees are up, arms are by your side. On inhale, and then raise the hips, the back. If you're looking, Sarita is in bridge, Kimberly, great. Take a couple breaths here. Sometimes in bridge, it feels nice to take the arms back in, prop the shoulders up a little bit, and clench the hands under you, and you might get a little more lift in that bridge. Nice. On an exhale, we can meet back at the mat. Couple breaths here. We'll take one more bridge pose. On an inhale, lift hips, lower back off the mat. Maybe move shoulder blades in a little bit to clasp hands under the glutes. And that might get you a little more lift in your bridge. Remember to breathe here. And then we'll take bridge back down. Ooh. Legs are stretched out on the mat, resting. Arms are resting by our side. Take this well-deserved rest. You've put in a lot of work. Your feet can sort of splay out at opposite sides. Your hands, you can have one hand to the belly, one hand to the chest. Whatever resting pose works for you. Sometimes maybe a bound angle pose where the feet are touching. The sides of the feet are on the mat. And the legs are sort of at an angle position with the knees splayed out. If that's comfortable, you can find that posture for your Savasana as well. Any comfortable pose, and just take rest. As you come out of your resting pose, maybe move the head from side to side. Move the thumb across each of your fingers, just let it touch. Start to wiggle the toes. Maybe lift your arms overhead for a full body stretch. When you're ready, curl to your favorite side. Rest your head on your hands. Take a few more breaths here in fetal pose, and we'll meet again at the front of the mat. As I mentioned, I'm taking yoga teacher training. And in addition to learning how to teach yoga, you also read a few big books and learn about yoga. One of them is the Bhagavad Gita. And in it, one of my favorite lines, it says, yoga is the journey of the self, through the self, to the self. It's all about getting connected with the self. So I hope here on your mat today, for this past hour, you were able to get in touch with yourself. Again, I thank you for letting me be your guide in your practice. Bring our hands to prayer. The light in me recognizes and honors the light in you. Thank you for your time today. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you guys. You're all so wonderful. It's Saturday evening, joining me